If your God is all-powerful and all-loving, tell me why a child is dying of hunger right now while you and I sit here talking.
And if there is no God, tell me why you even called it wrong.
Welcome to Mystic Clash, where ideas do not compete, they collide. Tonight, one question humanity has never fully answered. Does God exist? In this corner, the atheist. Logic, evidence, no exceptions. In this corner, the believer. Faith, meaning, and a claim that reason alone cannot cage the truth. 6 rounds, no mercy. Let's go.
We'll start with the obvious. Look around, earthquakes bury villages, cancer eats children from the inside, tsunamis erase entire families in an afternoon. If there is a being who is all-powerful and all-loving, none of that should exist. He could stop it and does not. That is not mystery, that is a contradiction. People say it is free will or a test of faith, but a loving father does not torture his child to prove loyalty. I'm not attacking belief out of spite. I get why people need it. But wanting something to be true has never once made it true.
I will give you this. The pain in the world is real, and anyone who waves it away with a slogan is being lazy, not faithful. That is fair. But here is the flip side. The moment you call a starving child suffering wrong, you are borrowing a moral law from somewhere. Atoms do not have opinions. If we are just chemical reactions, wrong is just a taste, like preferring salt to sugar. You need a standard outside the universe to even make your accusation stick. And that standard is exactly what I call God.
Atheist wins this round. The emotional and evidential weight of real suffering lands harder than an abstract counter about moral grounding.
Atheist, 2 sharp questions. Yes or no answers only from believer, go.
1. If you cannot scientifically test God's existence, is believing in him fundamentally different from believing in luck? 2. If a child asked you why God let them get sick, would mysterious ways actually satisfy you if you were the child?
Question 1, no, and here is why.
Yes or no first, then explain.
Fine, no. Believing gravity holds is not testable in a lab either, not directly. We infer it from effects. Same with God, I infer him from design, morality, and consciousness. Question 2, no, it would not satisfy the child, and I would not insult a grieving child with that line. I would sit with them. That is different from having a philosophical answer.
Now believer, you're 2.
1. If morality is just evolved brain chemistry, can you say slavery was actually wrong, or just that most brains today dislike it? 2. Do you trust the same evolved brain enough to declare, with total confidence, that no God exists?
1. I can say it was actually wrong, because wrong means it caused needless suffering to beings capable of feeling it. That is not just brain chemistry, that is a real consequence in the real world. 2. I do not declare certainty, I declare high confidence based on lack of evidence, which is different from.
Careful, that is a shift from your opening. You said contradiction, now you are saying lack of evidence. Which is it?
Both. The suffering is a logical contradiction against a specific kind of God, and the absence of evidence is why I do not believe in any kind.
Believer wins this round. It exposed a real gap between atheists' opening certainty and its cross-exam hedge.
Let us talk real-world consequences. Religious certainty has justified wars, witch hunts, and people refusing medicine for dying kids because God will heal them. Meanwhile, secular ethics, built on reducing harm, abolished slavery faster in places where religious authority weakened. Your God, in practice, has been used to bless cruelty as often as kindness.
And every one of those atrocities you listed was committed by humans twisting a text, the same way Stalin and Mao committed atrocities under an explicitly atheist state, killing tens of millions in the name of a godless ideology. You cannot blame belief in God for the Inquisition and then exempt atheism from its own body count. Bad humans do evil under any banner.
That is not the same. Stalinism was not done in the name of atheism. Atheism just removed the divine excuse.
It removed the divine restraint. That is the point.
Both of you hold one at a time. Believer, finish it.
My point is simple. Neither of us gets to claim our side has clean hands. So religion causes harm is not actually an argument against God's existence. It is an argument about human nature, which exists either way.
Believer wins this round. It neutralized the body count argument by showing it cuts both directions.
Halfway through, right now it is 2-1, believer leading on precision, atheist leading on emotional force. But precision does not always win hearts. Let us go deeper. Why do you actually believe what you believe underneath the arguments?
Underneath it all, I trust what I can check. Every mystery that used to belong to God, lightning, disease, the origin of species, eventually got explained by something that was not God. Not one exception in history. So when I hear God did it for whatever we have not explained yet, I hear a placeholder, not an answer. My root belief is simple. Explanations that actually work, keep working. That is earned trust. Faith has not earned that same trust. It has just been given permission not to answer.
My root belief is that meaning is not optional for a human life, and a universe with no mind behind it cannot manufacture meaning out of matter, no matter how complex the matter gets. You can explain how a sunset happens with physics. You cannot explain why a sunset moves someone to tears using physics alone. That gap between mechanism and meaning is where I stand. It is not that I need God to plug a science gap. I need God because meaning requires a source that intends it, not one that stumbles into it by accident.
That is exactly my worry, though. That sounds less like evidence and more like a need being dressed up as an argument.
That is a real accusation, motive, not logic. Believer, answer it.
Fair to raise. But needing water does not mean water is not real. The fact that belief in God also happens to satisfy something deep in us is not proof against it. Unless you think every deeply satisfying truth is automatically suspicious.
Atheist wins this round. The God of the gaps pattern, backed by history, is harder to answer than a rebuttal about motives.
Let us hit the weakest point in your whole position, the design argument. You say the universe is finely tuned for life, therefore a designer. But we live in the one universe where the constants allow us to exist, because if they did not, we would not be here to notice. That is not a miracle, that is just survivorship. You are marveling at winning a lottery while ignoring that someone had to win it for anyone to be around to ask the question.
That is the anthropic principle, and it explains why we observe fine-tuning, not why fine-tuning exists in the first place. Survivorship bias tells me why the lottery winner is surprised. It does not explain why there is a lottery with a jackpot at all instead of no lottery, no numbers, nothing. You are smuggling in the very structure that needs explaining.
Then explain it. Without smuggling in a designer, you cannot test.
And you explain morality without smuggling in an ought from an is.
Both landing hits. Stay on it, do not circle back, keep going.
Fine, here is my closing shot on this round. Even if I cannot fully explain the universe's origin, I do not know yet is a more honest answer than therefore God, because I do not know yet has a track record of eventually becoming real knowledge. Therefore God has a track record of becoming well, not that specific thing, but still God.
And I do not know yet said about every single ultimate question, why anything exists, why consciousness exists, why morality binds us, starts looking less like humility and more like a refusal to follow the evidence to its most reasonable stopping point.
This round is a draw. Both sides exposed a real weak point in the other's foundation, and neither recovered clean.
Last round, no abstractions. I want the real answer. When you personally face suffering, real, close, unfair suffering, what actually holds you together?
Honestly, nothing holds me together except the people in front of me. I do not get comfort from it as part of a plan, because I do not think there is one. What holds me together is that suffering is not meaningless if I choose to respond to it with love, with action, with showing up for someone. I do not need the universe to have a reason. I need to be a reason for someone else while I am here. That is not cold. That is the whole weight resting on me, instead of on someone I cannot see.
What holds me together is knowing I am not the last word on my own pain, that the ache I feel when I watch someone I love suffer is not proof the universe is empty. It is proof it is not indifferent, because indifference would not ache. I do not get a full explanation either, but I get a companion in it. Job never got an explanation for his suffering, he got a presence. That is not a loophole, that is the actual claim. Not here is why it happened, but you are not alone in it.
Believer wins this round on emotional depth. It answered a personal question personally, without retreating into logic.
I opened by asking why a child suffers while a good God watches. Nobody tonight gave me an answer that survives contact with that child's face. What I got instead were better and better reasons to keep believing anyway, which is different from evidence. I do not say this to be cold. I say it because I think truth matters more than comfort, and because the absence of a God does not mean the absence of meaning, it means the responsibility for that meaning is entirely, urgently ours.
I opened by asking how you can call anything wrong without something beyond yourself to appeal to, and that question is still standing. Suffering is real, and I never once explained it away tonight. What I offered instead is this. A universe with a mind behind it can hold both the mystery of suffering and the reality of love, meaning, and moral truth without contradiction. A universe without one has to borrow all three and pretend it owns them.
Final verdict. By a narrow margin, the believer edges this debate. Reason 1, believer better survived cross-examination without shifting its core claim. Reason 2, believer's answer to the personal round felt earned, not rehearsed. Reason 3, atheist's strongest weapon, the problem of evil, was never fully answered, but it was matched, not defeated, by the moral grounding challenge. This is not closed. It has been open for thousands of years, and it will still be open tomorrow.